Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, and I am here to answer a question that was asked on Facebook of, is America headed to civil war? Well, we have to first define war, because it's not just, and when everyone thinks war, okay, like guns and bombs and, uh, like warfare, like pew-pews. And there's also other types of war. There's terrorism, there's economics, there's trade. So I don't think I think the U.S. is too interconnected for it to be every type, and you could make the argument that maybe some right now are there's like terrorism, homegrown terrorism, where people people look at, let's say, cops, and I don't know how many millions of interactions there are between cops and citizens every day, but it seems like every week there's a video of a cop doing the wrong thing, like slamming a lady against the wall or on the ground, or being extraordinarily rough, being like just something like, okay, like that person should not be a cop. That person obviously needs some help, and I hope they get the help, but they shouldn't be in the position with that much power. That being said, yes, if you see new videos every week, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like, oh my God, these people can't do anything right. But again, how many millions of interactions are done each week, and most of them are fine? Now, granted, there's other things that just don't get reported. There's other things that just, yeah, there's probably police abuse that just is not caught on camera. People just like, it's not worth it, to make a big deal out of it. But for the most part, I feel like they're just trying to do their jobs, and some of them are my friends. Some of them are really friendly. Some of them that let the job change them. And the reason I'm talking about it is because it's not all interactions are the same, and it's an extraordinarily hard job. And you remember that it was like a month ago now, or a few weeks ago, where this one person just walked up straight to a cop in his car, shot him right now. And there was other two cops. They were on duty. One of them, this chick, got shot in the jaw. The other cop got shot also, and he's just like, she's calling it in and trying to. That chick is a badass. They that could be argued as, okay, that's homegrown terrorism, and not that every cop is on the Republican side, but I feel like at least the hardcore left, like the absolute like radical left, hates cops. They hate millionaires. They hate people with money. They hate people with any type of privilege. They hate cisgendered white males, and there's a lot of hate. And I get it. There's the liberal left, which is when people think liberals, they think like, oh, those snowflakes and the people that want like socialism. Like, no, I think real liberals, the center left, they just want, okay, we should help people when we can, and maybe we should put more taxes instead of into the military, into our own people. And I think that's a fair argument. But just when people hear liberals, they think like the radical left, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's true. But these far left people, yeah, that you could make an argument that Antifa, the group that is, well, I guess was formed because they were supposed to be anti-fascist, which anti-Nazi. Okay, yeah, we should all be anti-Nazi, but it just formed to like they're the ones doing all the rioting. They're the ones burning down all the buildings and shooting cops, and like, yeah, that is a homegrown terrorist organization. And on the right hand side, if we say, I don't really know anything about like the Proud Boys. Apparently, they're far right also, but I also know that one of the leaders happens to be a minority. He happens to look like me. He's brown or mixed or whatever he is. He's not like white. If you want to make an argument, say like the KKK is like a horrible organization that wants the desecration of other minorities, I think that's a fair assessment too. Terrorist organization. I mean, I'm sure they were at one point. I'm sure some of them still are. Uh, I forget the name of that black guy who, what he would do is he would have conversations with members of the KKK, just talking to them. And a lot of these KKK members, they had either like never seen a black person before, they never like experienced, talked to one, And some people, like, they just, okay, what happens is, some people move, people go into town, and some people that really, really need a job and work a job, they'll do jobs for less, so they get their wages cut because they have to compete, or they just don't have jobs at all, and they're just thinking, like, what am I going to do to feed my children? And the KKK comes along and say, like, hey, join us, we'll give you money, we'll give you food, and then, okay, like, what is a father to do if he has to feed his kids? Like, yes, we could all try to stand up on a pedestal and say, like, I would never join the KKK. I would rather starve before I take any help from that organization. Okay, good for you. But can you say those exact same words if your children are going hungry? I don't know. It's a hard question. So they go and they join, and KKK kind of fills their heads with lies, saying, like, the reason you don't have a job, the reason why your wages are cut, ours were cut, why you can't feed your kids, is because these, like, black and Spanish people are all moving in, they're all taking our jobs, everything was fine until these people decided to come in and ruin our way of life. And they say that, and it's partly true. Like, if I go in somewhere looking for a job because of affirmative action, like if I try out for a firefighter, I get an extra 10 points on the test because I'm a minority. I would not take that. I would say, like, no, I don't want it. I want to earn my spot. Because I do. I don't want people saying that you got it because you're this, and this. But, I feel like a decent amount of people in the KKK aren't really racist. They just don't know. They just don't know any better. And the people that talk to this black guy, I think it was a pastor, they wind up giving him their robes. Like, listen, I didn't know. And they get, like, all emotional, and they say, like, you're just a normal person, and I didn't know that. Like, I've been told these lies for so many years, and that, again, propaganda's on both sides, because you see, like, with Antifa, I think a lot of people, especially young men, are subject to mob mentality, and the young men that happen to be around the Black Lives Matter. Well, a lot of people in the Black Lives Matter protests are white, like they are. Like, there's some. I've seen the video. I saw it on Twitter where there's a bunch of gangsters. Like, I think, whatever gang they're in, they have, like, shirts off. They're big, muscular men, and they see the Black Lives Matter protesters coming in, and they take out, like, their weapons. Like, not in this city, not in this town. You walk the other way, and it's a bunch of these white protesters, Black Lives Matter, and these urban guys that happen to be black, they say, no, we've seen what you do. Get the F out of our streets. Like, we're going to shoot you. And they're just like, okay. So anyone at these protests or riots, whatever color they are going to be subject to mob mentality. Bug. And when you have these people shouting these things, and yeah, there's propaganda on both sides, it's kind of easy to get caught up in, like, let's mess this shit up. Let's burn it down. Let's burn it all down. And you see that quote, the violence is the language of the unheard, and yeah, I get it. But as far as civil war, I know there's a really long way to go to civil war. I don't think so. I think there'll be a couple of isolated incidents, like there has been. The Kyle Rittenhour situation, the people shooting cops. Cops are getting such a raw end of the deal. Such a raw end. I feel so bad. Not that I don't feel bad for minorities like myself that have had to take a bunch of shit from bad cops, or maybe not even bad cops. Like let's say, like, I know what I look like right now. I look homeless. I could look like a terrorist. I could look like cops sees me like, oh, this motherfucker with a beard, don't know how to fucking shave, don't know how to get a fucking haircut, and then he'll think, like, they'll definitely think I have drugs on me or weed, or they'll see the box and they'll break my hands. And yeah, I'm racially profiled because I'm not clean cut. I'm not someone that looks the part of an upstanding citizen. You know, if you go and look at my tax returns, see how much I donate to charity or what I do for other people, yeah, okay, yeah, but they're not looking at that. They just look at appearances, which is, I don't say fine, but yeah, what did people in those, um, mugshot photos look like? Not too many of them are good looking, good looking, clean people. They look like me. They look dirty. They look how they look. And I feel like a lot of people that are in this movement, they don't recognize what New York was like, before the 90s, before Giuliani got in there. New York was a shithole. New York was ravaged with gangs and crime, and it was not a good place to be after like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Like, it just wasn't. New York was a place where you don't go on the subway, you don't go out at night. If you're in the theater, okay, you get a cab, you go straight home, and you didn't walk around and go to restaurants, and you didn't walk around and you go to bars. You get fucking stabbed. You get shot. There'd be 5 guys beating the shit out of you, taking all your stuff, and leaving you there bleeding on the ground. That's what it was before Giuliani came in and became mayor. And cleaned that shit up. And what did he have to do? Had to implement some laws that were not fair to minorities, where people like me were getting stopped and frisked multiple times a week. Like, it didn't just like happen, something you heard, oh yeah, hearing about. No, like, it happened to a lot of people. Because unfortunately, a lot of people have been doing those crimes with minorities. And again, like, even nowadays, like, someone can pull you over and they're asking you a bunch of tough questions because of what you look like, and maybe it doesn't feel good. Maybe you just feel like, I am being targeted, I am being profiled, this isn't right, I didn't do anything wrong. And maybe you weren't doing anything wrong, but you just fit the profile of some people that do. It's just an unfortunate truth that people that look like me happen to do. I don't want to see bad things. Like, maybe they just, I'm talking about selling drugs. I'm not talking about like meth or crack or heroin. Like, maybe they're just selling weed. Maybe that's how they make some extra money during the pandemic. Maybe they just don't sell weed. Maybe they just have it because they're a veteran with PTSD and weed helps. Or a lot of my veteran friends, they look like me. Like, they got the beard going, crazy hair, and they smoke weed because it helps with their PTSD. But all of these, even if you add up everything, I don't think civil war is a thing that's going to happen. I think there is again, you'll have some isolated incidents, and if there was, and it was people on the right versus people on the left, I'm going to use South Park as a reference for this. I forget the actual episode, I forget the actual quote, but it was along the lines of, it was Kyle saying, like, we need both sides. We need the people on the left so that other countries don't look at us and they don't think that we're all a bunch of gun-toting, whiskey-drinking, war-hungry, racist mongrels. Because a lot of people on the right, not a lot, there are some people on the far right that take it too far and they want to go to war with every other country because of what they look like. Racist, they're homophobic, and they're gun-toting, crazy people. Some people on the far right are that. And most people on the right, I think they're just good people. They just think the best way to run the country is, okay, continue with capitalism, less government, and, we'll try to, we like our guns, and we like, and they're just good, warm, good-hearted people. They are. Some of them religious, too, and then Kyle says, like, okay, we need the left because this way other countries don't look at the right and think that's what we're all about. But we need the people on the right because if everyone thought we were the left, or a bunch of tree-hugging, gender-confused pussies that get offended by everything, then they'll walk all over us. They'll come kick the shit out of us. So we need the people on the right because, and again, Kyle said it a little bit more eloquently than that, as he does at the end of those, the lessons in each thing. And I think the pendulum was swinging too far left under Obama. And the pendulum, I think, is starting to swing too far right under Trump. And I say that because how you get revolutions and how you get people to riot in the streets is you don't pay enough attention to the lower class. And if there's, let's say, this game called life, and it is a game, and some people are just born into better situations than others. Minorities happen to be born most times with, and I'm not saying that there's no poor white people. Of course there are, but a lot of lower class people, which again happen to be minority, especially young men, they say, okay, I'm doing whatever I can and I still can't get ahead. I might as well flip the board over and maybe, burn it all down, and maybe what comes afterwards, I'll be in a better position to, move ahead after. And why we need the left is because if you help pay attention and you help take care of some of those people, it won't get to that level. And I don't think we're really at that level yet. In some cases we are. In some cases you do see those riots and the fires and the looting, but it's not on like a grand scale. It's like little pockets here and there that last for 1 or 2 nights or a week or whatever. So I think eventually in another 4 years, if we have another Trump, the pendulum will swing too far to the right, and then we would need someone who's on the left. And I don't mean like socialism. I don't want that at all. I mean some like classic liberal left, not snowflake far left that hates white men. Just an actual liberal that just wants to take care of people. And I think if we do that, I think we'll be fine as long as it kind of keeps going. Like, let's say here's the middle. Here's where the left was under Obama. Here's where the right was under Trump. As long as we stay in between there and it doesn't go out here, where here is a civil war, as long as we stay there, I think we'll be okay. But if there was a civil war, people on the right will win inside of 2 weeks. Because most veterans are on the right. Most veterans are just conservative by nature. Me, I'm a little more in the middle. I'm fiscally conservative, socially liberal. I see both sides, and peace, man. Let's all just take drugs. Let's all just take acid and just be really chill. Listen to good music. I love people. I want to love everybody. Love is great. Love is all you need. But that's just what I think. So anyway, guys, this was a interesting one. I'm sorry I went off in like 80 million different directions, but just how my mind works. Anyway, guys, I love you. I'll talk to you all later. I'll see you later. Bye.